Who are a few of the worst serial criminals around? Let's find out. Starting with number 6, lottery win with an asterisk. Jon-Ross Watson and Mark Goodram, a couple career criminals from the UK, ended up in a weird situation when they won £4 million off of a scratch-off lottery ticket. The weirdness wasn't from the fact that they actually won. People allegedly win off those things all the time. It was that they bought it with a stolen card. Watson and Goodram were on a crime spree in London when they used a stolen debit card to buy a scratch-off. They hit the jackpot, beating the odds of over 4 million to 1. The stolen card belonged to some guy named Joshua Adiman, who wasn't even aware that his card had been stolen. The pair immediately celebrated their windfall before they got their winnings, with a 5-day binge, spending lavishly on champagne, cocktails, vodka, and fine dining. They flaunted their winnings, sharing videos online and bragging about their newfound fortune. Watson and Goodram's luck eventually ran out when Camelot, the lottery operator in the UK, became suspicious of the duo as they tried to collect their prize money. Camelot takes fraud pretty seriously, so when there are jackpots being handed out, they have systems in place to verify the authenticity of winning claims to ensure that prizes are awarded correctly and fairly. The pair couldn't provide the details of the cardholder, claiming a friend named John had given them the card. Their story fell apart under scrutiny when it was revealed that the card was stolen from Adiman during a night out. Both Watson and Goodram had extensive criminal records. Watson had 72 convictions for 133 offenses, while Goodram had 22 convictions for 45 offenses. With that many convictions, it's like these guys flunked out of criminal school. Their attempt to claim the winnings was thwarted when they couldn't explain how they got the debit card. So Camelot refused to pay out the prize, which led to an investigation. Watson and Goodram were ultimately charged with fraud, and both were sentenced to 18 months in prison after pleading guilty to multiple counts of fraud. Joshua Adiman was blindsided by the revelation that his card was used in the scam. Initially contacted by police, he was unaware of the lottery win until much later. And of course, he was super pissed at the lack of communication and wondered if he had any claim to the winnings, which apparently he didn't, since the purchase itself was invalid and there are understandably strict regulations governing lotto payouts. And that was like those guys' one chance to win the lotto too, right? Realistically, most of us aren't even going to hit a jackpot of that size, so yes, while it's possible for lightning to strike twice, we can all agree it's pretty unlikely. So these guys won it, and there was basically no way they were ever going to get it. They were all excited, and Camelot was like, number 5, Banksy Love. Jake Lee and James Heppel, both from the UK, have been jailed for stealing over $7.5 million in crypto from 55 victims worldwide. The duo amassed a suitcase filled with £551,000 in cash and a Banksy artwork called Bomb Love through a sophisticated fraud scheme. Lee and Heppel spoofed the domain of a popular crypto exchange, blockchain.com, to gain access to their victims' login details and Bitcoin wallets, stealing large amounts of crypto. The Southwest Regional Organized Crime Unit, known as the SWROCU, which is a bit of a mouthful for an acronym, identified victims from 26 countries, including 11 from the UK. Authorities seized £835,000 in cash, including £551,000 found in a suitcase voluntarily handed over by Lee, along with roughly $80,000 worth of crypto, a $75,000 Banksy painting, and 3 cars. Lee and Heppel pleaded guilty to 3 counts of conspiracy to commit fraud. Lee received a 4-year prison sentence, while Heppel was sentenced to 15 months. The investigation began in 2018 when Lee was arrested on suspicion of money laundering. Police seized £24,000 in cash, digital devices, and 3 laminated Bitcoin wallet recovery seeds, which can be used to restore or steal Bitcoin funds. The SWROCU linked Lee to a crypto scam reported by a victim in Wiltshire who had around 14 $17,000 worth of Bitcoin stolen. Detective Sergeant Matt Brain from SWROCU's Regional Cybercrime Unit said that the investigation revealed Lee as a central figure in the domain spoofing fraud. Their work involved mapping out the offender's connections to other suspects and crypto exchanges globally. The strength of the evidence led to both men pleading guilty, avoiding a lengthy trial. The court ordered Lee to pay nearly $1.2 million in compensation to the victims. Confiscation proceedings against Heppel are ongoing at the time of this video, ensuring that the criminals are held accountable and their victims compensated for their losses. We are pretty sure they bought a lot more interesting things with the crypto they stole that the police just don't know about. Number 4. The International Jewel Thief. A globe-trotting jewelry thief, Yaorong Wan, was arrested after a series of high-profile heists, including a daring theft in New York City. Wan, 49, was captured in Queens after allegedly stealing $300,000 worth of rings from Cartier and Tiffany stores in Manhattan. This arrest marked the end of Wan's long criminal career, which spanned continents from South Korea to Beverly Hills. Wan's first major heist occurred in 2018 when he stole a $330,000 diamond ring from Tiffany's in Seoul. Then he continued his spree, lifting a $48,000 diamond ring and a $10,000 watch from a Cartier store in Beverly Hills later that year. And then 3 months later, Wan struck again in New York, stealing a $255,000 diamond ring from another Tiffany's. Using a sleight of hand trick that your cool uncle probably used to trick you when you were a kid with, he swapped the real diamond with a fake cubic zirconia ring, fooling the shop assistant. 8 days later, Wan repeated his trick at a Cartier store in New York, pocketing a $25,000 diamond ring. He then traveled to Miami, where he stole a $16,000 watch from Cartier. Wan's crimes then extended to New Jersey, where he stole 2 watches worth $17,000 from Hermes at the American Dream Mall. He also swiped a watch from London Jewelers in Long Island, valued at $17,000. When arrested, Wan had several stolen watches and fake stones used in his swaps. He pleaded not guilty. Wan's presumed now ex-girlfriend, who wished to remain anonymous, explained that he charmed his way into her life with the stolen jewelry. She met him in LA, where he used an alias. He moved into her home in Queens, never paying rent but bringing home jewelry. She said she trashed the items after his arrest, shocked by his double life. As it turns out, Wan is also wanted in South Korea for a $332,000 jewelry theft. He faces charges across multiple states and has a red notice from Interpol, which is basically an international request for cooperation to local and provincially arrest a person pending extradition, surrender, or similar legal action. At the time of this video, Wan is being held on a $500,000 bail or $1 million bond. And yeah, we're suspicious about Wan's ex-girlfriend too. She tossed out jewelry worth thousands of dollars on principle instead of returning them or hiding them. You know, she's off somewhere like, that jewelry? I tossed it, I swear. Number 3, police impersonations. 2 men from the UK, pretending to be police officers, were arrested for defrauding elderly victims out of more than $500,000. Mohammed Zaman Ahmed and Quasar Ahmed received sentences of 3 years and 8 months and 4 years, respectively, for their roles in courier fraud. They had pleaded guilty back in 2021. The 2 were part of a criminal gang operating from London, targeting elderly victims nationwide through over 7,500 robocalls. They posed as police, saying that they were investigating counterfeit currency allegedly passing through the victims' bank accounts. The victims were told to withdraw their money and hand it over to a courier sent by the police. The gang even used fake authenticity checks with members pretending to be senior police officers or bank officials. They even arranged for taxis to take victims to their banks. Aware of bank protocols for large withdrawals by elderly customers, the gang even coached victims on what to say to avoid suspicion. Their total haul was over $500,000. It's weird how people actually do this stuff, right? Someone would seriously have to have no heart to literally sit next to some trusting old lady and be comfortable with stealing from her. Kevin Hansford from the CPS, which is the UK's DA office, highlighted the convincing nature of the fraudsters, who gained the trust of hundreds of elderly people through lies. He emphasized that their sole purpose was self-enrichment at the expense of vulnerable individuals relying on their savings and pensions. This case is an important reminder that banks and police will never call to verify personal banking details or offer to pick up money or cards by courier. Number 2, extreme shoplifting. A brazen shoplifter from the UK stole nearly $17,000 worth of goods from co-op and one-stop shops, which are like grocery stores and convenience stores in the US, targeting the same store multiple times in a single day. Reese Mansell struck 26 times in just 29 days, taking around $6,300 worth of items. He also hit one co-op outlet 38 times, costing them $8,200 in stolen merchandise. Mansell's spree lasted 8 months before he was caught, totaling 71 offenses. He stole a wide range of items, including alcohol, food, and household products, typically filling a bag before leaving unchallenged. None of the goods were recovered, as Mansell likely sold them to fund his substance habit. Mansell worked both alone or with a gang, mainly targeting co-op stores. Prosecutor Ned Sillett described how Mansell stole all sorts of items from alcohol and food to household products, sometimes with accomplices spreading out in the store. Between March of 2023 and January of 2024, Mansell committed 45 offenses across co-op, Tesco Express, and one-stop stores, 20 of which involved his little playgroup. On one occasion, staff tried to grab the items from his bag, resulting in a brief struggle before he escaped. Mansell also burglarized an adult toy shop with an accomplice. He was arrested nearby with the stolen items, and Mansell said he was being blackmailed over a debt. During his trial, his defense attorney said he had a few prior convictions and had stayed out of trouble for 9 years, like the big boy he is. His crimes began after a breakup and losing contact with his stepchildren, leading to his life spiraling out of control. In total, Mansell admitted to 75 offenses across 53 cases, including one non-dwelling burglary, possessing a knife in public, and 2 counts of failing to surrender to custody. The attorney noted Mansell had been productive in custody, staying clean. He has a supportive family and a job waiting if he remains clean after the release. Mansell was finally sentenced to 3 years in prison and issued a restraining order from him, any co-op, and one stop until 2028. However, compensation was deemed unrealistic, and so was Mansell's ability to stay out of trouble. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to stay tuned right here to find out the crazy way these ladies smuggled some watches out of a hotel room. Number 1. Flexing on campus. Matt Bergwall, a now former college student from Darien, Connecticut, wound up in the center of a massive fraud scheme. Living a lavish lifestyle in Miami, he ran a pretty sophisticated scam involving fraudulent Amazon returns that cost retailers millions of dollars. Bergwall's life was a blend of extravagance and deception. He drove a matte gray Tesla, wore designer brands such as Gucci and Rolex, and often flaunted his wealth on social media. His Instagram was filled with pictures from luxurious trips to Dubai and Tulum, posing in infinity pools and high-end hotels. To his friends at the University of Miami, Bergwall was a fintech prodigy, fintech being financial technology, with a knack for networking with venture capitalists. In December of 2021, Bergwall hacked into the accounts of employees at a multinational shipping company, later identified as UPS. Over the next few months, he and his co-conspirators manipulated the tracking system, making it appear as though high-end products had been returned when they actually hadn't. This allowed them to get refunds while keeping the stuff. The scam, known as FTID, fake tracking ID, involved nearly 10,000 fraudulent returns, which is a lot when you think about it, since it happened over roughly 4 months, resulting in $3.5 million in losses for retailers. Bergwall's operation was run primarily through Telegram, where he went by the pseudonym MXB. He bragged about his 8 full-time employees and the ability to scale his operations, like he's running a legit business and about to go on Shark Tank. Despite the challenges of managing demanding clients and maintaining his scheme, Bergwall continued to live the high life, attending classes, networking events, and parties. Bergwall's downfall began when federal investigators started tracking refunding fraud on platforms like Telegram. Bergwall's overconfidence and lack of operational security, in the sense that he basically had none, which is weird, made it way easier for law enforcement to piece together his activities. His fraudulent purchases included a $41,000 Rolex watch, a $600 electric blanket, a $350 smart TV, and $80 Reebok shoes. In November of 2023, Bergwall was arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit computer and mail fraud. He pleaded not guilty, and his lawyer emphasized that Bergwall had no prior criminal history, so therefore he's innocent? We get why he said it, but it just always sounds weird, as if it's an excuse. Anyway, if convicted, he faces up to 45 years in prison. The court also aims to seize any assets acquired through the fraud. At the time of this video, the case is ongoing. It's so dumb that this kid decided to throw his future away for some fast cash. By all accounts, he was a really good financial tech guy, and he was going to a good university. So he had a lot going for him, and no real reason to scam other than greed. We guess there's just some people who, when they see an opportunity, can't help themselves. What are some of the most daring robberies? Let's get right to it and start with number 5. Watch this! 2 Las Vegas women, Nikki Grandel and Stacy Johnson, targeted and robbed a man they met on the Caesars Palace casino floor. Grandel and Johnson were socializing with their victim when they convinced him to take them to his hotel room at Caesars Palace. But it wasn't long after they entered the room before he realized he was missing $6,500 and a Rolex watch. The man kept his valuable belongings in a small bag, and after discovering it was empty, he confronted the women. Grandel and Johnson did what anyone would do when wrongfully accused, fled the room and ran into the stairwell. But the women couldn't move faster than the Las Vegas police. The victim immediately reported the theft, and officers tracked down Grandel and Johnson using the hotel's surveillance footage and the victim's description. Police arrested the pair moments later and charged them with grand larceny. Authorities had to conduct an extensive search to find the Rolex, resorting to an X-ray examination where they discovered Grandel had placed the luxury watch inside her body to conceal it. And by body, you probably know what we mean. The one only women have. Additionally, Johnson stuffed the cash inside her pants. Grandel and Johnson's actions might seem extreme, but they were far from the only people to conduct this type of criminal operation at a casino. Cassidy Rain Paris was at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida, when she approached a man at the casino's elevators. After telling the man he seemed tired and stressed, she offered to go up to his room to give him a massage. The man accepted the offer, and the pair went to his room. During the massage, Paris ordered him to remove his clothing and kissed him. She suddenly developed chest pain and excused herself to go to the bathroom. Within minutes, the victim heard his room door close and discovered his belongings were missing. Paris stole a Patek Philippe watch worth $50,000, $10,000 in cash, and $6,100 in poker chips. Paris's scheme was well thought out. After luring the man to his room, she used a diversionary tactic to distract him so she could rob him. Except she underestimated how easy it would be to track her down. Similarly to Grandel and Johnson, surveillance video captured Paris sprinting down the hall and driving away in a red car. Police located the GPS tracker on the red car she used to flee the scene. They apprehended Paris 4 miles east of the casino at a Days Inn motel and charged her with a second-degree felony for theft. So wait, we can't just trust any random women we meet named Nikki, Stacy, or Cassidy? Number 4. Gourley's 5. A gang of 5 robbers carried out a jewelry heist at Danielle Jewelers in Birmingham, England. The gang stole a highways maintenance truck and smashed it into the storefront, narrowly missing a staff member. 3 of the 4 robbers pulled a smash and grab. They barged into the store and smashed glass display cabinets with sledgehammers, then grabbed the jewelry and stuffed it into their sports bags. The 4th gang member stayed in one of the group's 3 vehicles, with the 5th kept the crowd at bay, waving an axe. The gang used a black Land Rover Discovery, a white Toyota Hilux, and a black Toyota Corolla for the raid. They parked the Land Rover and Toyota Corolla to block both sides of the ride of the jewelers and reversed the Hilux into the store. The 5 men fled the scene in the Land Rover and Hilux, abandoning the Corolla at the scene. Surveillance footage caught the group leaving the vehicles nearby and climbing into a stolen Audi TTS and a BMW 420. Despite spending weeks planning their operation, security cameras captured the entire robbery, and many concerned onlookers watched it occur. occur. The ringleader, John Gourley, attempted to sell a stolen bangle for $1,850 at Birmingham's Jewelry Quarter 2 hours after the raid, 3 miles from the jewelry store. Unfortunately for him, surveillance footage captured the entire interaction. Detectives used surveillance footage from nearby businesses and a witness's cell phone footage. They linked Gourley to the robbery by his fingerprints on the store's sale sheet. Another member, Hassan Zulakar, bought tape and pads at a nearby auto parts store, which he used to put false number plates on their getaway cars. Authorities discovered he stole the Land Rover after they recovered backings to the pads that Zulakar left inside the vehicle, which were covered in his fingerprints. Additionally, they tied the rest of the group to the theft through fingerprints, clothing, and tags from the stolen jewelry they found in one of the members' homes. Officers arrested all 5 members of the group and charged them with conspiracy to rob and possess an offensive firearm. Birmingham Crown Court conducted a 4-week trial and found the group guilty. Their sentences ranged from 16 years to 12, reaching a combined total of 72 years. See, this is what happens when you get pulled in for one last big score. It never works. Number 3. King Crab. David Sabile is accused of conning seafood distributors out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Allegedly, Sabile pretended to work at a grocery store and created fake email accounts to make it seem like they belonged to multiple Safeway grocery store employees. He used the accounts to deceive Arctic Foods, a San Francisco seafood distributor, out of $700,000. Sabile used a false name and fake trucking company to plan 2 pickups and had rental documents that tied him to the trucks. After collecting the second shipment of crab, the owner of Arctic Foods reached out to Sabile to discuss being overcharged. When the owner couldn't reach Sabile, they contacted Safeway, who revealed Sabile was not employed by them. The distributor owner informed authorities of Sabile's actions, who began to watch him. Sabile planned another shipment, but employees loaded cheaper seafood rather than king or snow crab into the truck. Police pulled over the truck driver and arrested him on counts of forgery and possession of a fraudulent bill. They found crab from Arctic Foods that matched one of Sabile's alleged shipments being sold below market value in Florida. When Sabile coordinated a 4th shipment from Arctic Foods, authorities placed position tracking devices on the packaging. The shellfish ended up at a junk removal service in Florida, with Sabile likely unloading the product when he realized it wasn't king crab. Sabile booked a one-way ticket to Colombia, but Miami police arrested him before he could board the plane. Sabile faces charges of bank fraud, grand theft, and counts of forgery and possession of a fraudulent bill. But this wasn't the first time Sabile committed criminal activity in the seafood industry. Sabile posed as a seafood buyer in Florida and Alabama, where he would contact suppliers and claim he was buying large quantities of shrimp, fish, and lobster for a cruise line. Sabile arranged to receive the seafood at cold storage facilities in Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, and Volusia counties, where he paid for the shipments with counterfeit checks. He also didn't pay a line of credit extended to him on at least one occasion. Law enforcement caught Sabile attempting to buy $60,000 of shrimp from a seafood wholesaler. He was allegedly responsible for $200,000 in losses to seafood businesses in Florida and Alabama, and for this scheme, charged with bank fraud and grand theft. Number 2. Romanian skimming. The Riviera Maya gang specialized in skimming ATMs and stealing from tourists in Playa del Carmen and other nearby tourist areas in Mexico. The gang used skimming devices to obtain their victims' credit card information and copied their details onto blank cards to withdraw cash from ATMs worldwide. They likely began operating in 2012 and have targeted thousands of tourists. Florian Tudor is the leader of the Riviera Maya gang, which has around 1,000 members. He's a businessman from Craiova, Romania, known as El Tiburon, or the Shark, among other gang members. Romanian authorities believe Tudor ordered fellow gang members to threaten, blackmail, beat up, and even bump off the gang's enemies, including former members who fell out with him. ATM skimming involves stealing credit card information by placing a skimming device on the machine that reads the card's magnetic stripe when inserted. Criminals use the information to create cloned credit and debit cards, which they then use to withdraw money and make purchases. The Riviera Mayan gang took ATM skimming up a level, buying ATMs from well-known manufacturers, hacking their processors, and installing custom-designed software to steal bank card data. Their operation was far more sophisticated than the average criminals. They waited months before withdrawing money from compromised cards and almost always used them in ATMs far from where they were stolen or where the victims lived. The gang's skimmers and pulls operated worldwide, from India to Barbados to South Korea to Brazil and everywhere in between, making it almost impossible for victims victims to connect the theft to their Mexican vacation. Tudor and his stepbrother Adrian Anichescu set up Top Life Servicio company in Cancun. It gave the gang the appearance of legitimacy while covering their criminal activities. Quickly, the gang decided it would skim more effectively if it had its own ATMs. So they went out and purchased some from well-known manufacturers like Triton and Hyosung. They hacked their ATM's processors and installed custom-designed software to capture card data. Additionally, the gang had an agreement with Maltiva, a respected Mexican bank, to brand their ATMs with the bank's logo. Top Life operated over 100 Maltiva-branded ATMs across the Riviera Maya and other popular tourist locations in Mexico by 2017. Wealthy tourists use those machines daily, innocently sticking their credit or debit cards for their information to be stolen. Each machine copied roughly 1,000 cards monthly, from which the gang would withdraw $200. Combining all the machines they operated, the gang's monthly income was $20 million. Top Life invested the money in Mexican real estate, such as the construction of their headquarters, a multi-story villa with a rooftop swimming pool, and an elevator built on land in the prime area of Cancun. Under Tudor's leadership, the gang laundered the funds. Most of Tudor's aides were Romanian and would withdraw small sums from stolen cards in Mexico, then send the money to Romania in cash or through Western Union. Tudor's relatives and business partners would invest the profits in luxury real estate that they legally sold to cover up any criminal activity. Despite running a sophisticated and carefully planned operation, journalist Brian Krebs received a tip from a technician that worked for a Mexican ATM company that a gang was offering $6,000 to install Bluetooth skimming devices in ATMs. Krebs traveled to Mexico to further investigate the potential criminal activity and discovered many ATMs had a Bluetooth link called Free to Move. His trip prompted Krebs to write a 3-part story on his blog about ATM skimming, where he mentioned an Eastern European gang was behind the scam. Tudor was furious and ordered members to temporarily extract chips from 10 ATMs they owned and 25 to 30 ATMs belonging to other companies or banks. Mexican police never followed up on the revelations in Krebs' articles, but the gang temporarily shut down their operations anyway. Although the gang avoided criminal charges, Tudor was beginning to unravel. His relationship with one of his most trusted men, Constantin Sorinel Marcu, deteriorated. Tudor was envious of Marcu's relationships with women, and Marcu wanted a higher cut than he was getting from the business. After a heated exchange over WhatsApp in May 2015, Tudor instructed all gang members to cut ties with Marcu. In April 2018, 3 gang members attacked Marcu. 2 months later, Marcu passed away. Not only did his passing unleash a war with Marcu's family and allies, but it put the Riviera Maya gang on law enforcement's radar. In May 2021, Mexican authorities arrested Tudor following years of investigations by Mexican and Romanian authorities. His arrest was in response to an extradition request from Romania, where he could face charges of organized crime, extortion, and attempted murder. Number 1. Partners in crime. Husband and wife duo Emmanuel and Kara Williams committed bank robberies in Florida and Alabama between December 2012 and November 2013. The couple made little effort to cover their tracks, using similar methods in each robbery. Emmanuel would enter the bank wearing an afro wig or a hat and pass a note with block lettering to the bank teller, demanding money. The pair robbed 15 banks within a short time, with 7 of those robberies occurring between December 2012 and February 2013. 6 more robberies happened between August and October 2013, and at least 2 being only a few days apart. The amount they took ranged from $1,623 to $8,438 per bank, and their net total was $54,750. Onlookers and surveillance cameras caught the couple driving away in high-end sports utility vehicles. In an August 28th robbery, a nearby business's security camera captured Emmanuel getting into a black 2011 Mercedes-Benz GLK 350. Another camera filmed them using a white Mustang in an August 22nd robbery. Using flashy cars in crimes? Wonder if that'll blow back on them. The FBI linked both vehicles to Kara Williams after requesting video from the Florida Department of Transportation Turnpike Authority to track the license plate number of the Mercedes to her. FBI agents conducted physical surveillance of the couple's Tampa apartment, where they had a front row seat into the duo's operation. There was a breakthrough in the case after the couple targeted a mid-Florida credit union, after which FBI agents tracked Emmanuel's cell phone activity to link his location location to cell towers during the dates and times of the couple's crimes. They also used his social media photos to identify a scar on Emmanuel's left thumb, which he covered with a cloth on his hand to hide from the cameras in bank surveillance videos. 10 days after their first bank robbery, Kara gave birth around December 15th, 2012. At the time, Kara was on maternity leave from her job at JP Morgan Chase Bank. Kara also took sick days corresponding to bank robberies in Tampa and Auburndale. The FBI's investigation into the couple uncovered the couple's criminal activities, resulting in the pair's arrest. Kara and Emmanuel were charged with conspiracy to obstruct, delay, or affect commerce by robbery, each carrying a potential maximum 20-year prison sentence. Jeez, Kara, if you hated your job so much, you could have just quit. Click to watch one of these next videos. Let us know in the comments section what you'd rather have. Have all your rent, food, and utilities paid for life, or take $7 million in cash right now.